I don't believe in momentum. I just don't see an advantage of having, say you're on a run. I get it. People get hot, but to me as a play caller or as a team, it's almost a false sense that you have an advantage because you have the momentum. Or on the other side of the coin, they're doing well and you go, oh, woe is me. They got all the momentum. Who cares? We have to make the next play.
Welcome back, or welcome to Y Option. I'm your host, Yogi Roth, and I'm fired up for today's guest. We're going to jump right into it. As always, every guest is presented by our founding sponsor, 76, keeping you on the go so you never miss a beat. This man has not missed a beat, and he is living a dream every Saturday. I've been hearing his voice for a long time. He's inspired me many times, and today we finally get to have a conversation here on the podcast. That's right, Gary Danielson. Thank you, sir, for taking time out of your day.
Oh, right, Yogi, it's my pleasure, really. I listen to you. You're one of you're going to be a star. Just keep grinding, and I know you will. And you might have my job next. Who knows? Just keep going. Charles is going to take it for a while, but you may be next.
Well, it'd be an honor to be in your shoes. And I mean, you pulled me aside before the season and we shared a cool conversation. And I think in this industry to know that other people that, you're a giant in this industry, man, to take time to say, hey, man, I've watched your games. I listen to your games.
Yeah.
It's something that means a ton to me. And I just want to say thank you for that on many levels.
There is a skill to this. I don't know. It may be a skill that certain athletes have or quarterbacks have or guys who can shoot basket, make threes, that I'm not bragging at all. Okay. I sometimes I listen to myself and I go, Jesus, I'm horrible, but you kind of get it. You know what I mean? But there is a skill to being able to watch something with 22 people moving and find a storyline that you can squeeze into 20, 18, 13 seconds, entertain, inform, teach, have a sense of humor, put a little self-deprecation into it, understand the feelings of players, the superstars, the regular guys that aren't superstars. I mean, it all fits together. And sometimes I think most of it's unteachable. And you can study all you want, but some people have it and some people don't. And you got it. That's for sure.
That means a lot. I appreciate that. So here we sit towards the end of the season, nearing mid-November, and you're in your final season of calling games. And it's been an illustrious career. I want to go back, though, because I went back through your bio and a lot of beautiful things written about you. But I feel as though, and push back if you don't agree, but I feel like you're a man that's always bet on himself. The way I heard it, not drafted out of college. You go to the CFL.
Right.
You write to every team in the National Football League to give yourself a shot. They gave it to you and you nailed it. What underneath all the things we see, being on TV, being an NFL quarterback, being in the cradle quarterbacks at Purdue, like what about your essence led to you really throwing down on you?
Wow, it's a tough question, and so one of the things that's really upset me, I literally, I know people won't believe this, I might trade everything I've done in broadcasting. And listen, I've raised a family. A lot of it is because of the work I've did at ESPN, ABC, and now CBS. It's a job that I've adored and loved and worked hard at. But, I really hurt about my own college career. I could have been so much better. It didn't fit at that time. I was, I guess, a little immature. We had a lot of good players. We should have been way better. I was a much better pro quarterback than I was a college quarterback. So I kind of always brought that with me. I missed out on something, that I would like to have back. And I swore that was never going to happen again. One of the things was funny when I got done playing with the Lions. Then I was out for a few years. I got a call from my old coach who was consulting Monty Clark with the Lions. And he said, would you come in and talk to our quarterback? I'm not going to tell you who it is because I don't want to embarrass the guy. He was a starter. And I said, well, Coach, what about? And he goes, you always thought you were better than you really were. Our guy doesn't believe in himself. If you can't believe in yourself, none of the guys are going to want him. that could be taken as not great, but I'd rather have somebody say you believed in yourself more than you actually were skilled and you survived than the other way around. Like you had all the skill and you didn't ever do it. So from then on, I kind of give this speech sometimes. Everybody says, the door will eventually open. It doesn't sometimes. Sometimes you got to knock the door down. And I did that throughout my whole career. And in fact, it got to one point when I was trying to make with the Lions that people who loved me, people who were my friends, respected people in the NFL, scouts, had an intervention that told me that the dream I was chasing, I was not capable of doing, that I would never make the NFL. And I was married at that time. I had a great wife. And I said, maybe they're right. And she goes, they're not right until you say they're right. And go for it. And that's basically what I've done ever since. I mean, I wrote all the networks for a try, a little different than what you're going through, Yogi. I mean, there wasn't a lot of people doing it. I was in there at the right time. I think our first production meeting was Mike Gottfried, Lee Corso, and myself at ESPN. There were 3 people in that meeting. So it's a little different, than it is now.
So much of that resonates on a personal level and also
Sure.
in my day to day.
Sure.
I was a walk on who then eventually got a scholarship, and I didn't have your playing. I'm not in the cradle of anything at Pitt. Maybe like you.
Well, it's pretty funny. They kind of made it clear that I was in the cradle for what I did after, not what I did there.
Well, regardless, I believe we're in a culture now that is, and I have a 10 and a 5-year-old son, so I coach sports, and I see it's like it lacks confidence. It lacks that type of self-talk. I'm curious for you when you look back at times calling the game of the week in the SEC. Now you're doing it in the Big Ten. Of course, you play in the National Football League. Like, do you see some similarities to that now in production meetings, and when you're wondering, like, does that individual in the shotgun or under center, how are they talking to themselves? And I'm curious what you've gleaned around that.
Yeah, it's an interesting question. I do kind of relate to the quote unquote Stetson Bennett's of the world, and one of my very first games I ever did, Yogi, it was my second game. I didn't even know what the heck I was doing. Ty Detmer, I was doing BYU and they were playing #1 Miami. And he basically won the Heisman in that game all the way back. Well, I think it was 1990. It was my second game and I was teed up with #1 Miami at BYU, and Norm Chow's the quarterback coach and Ty Detmer wins it. And so I always did kind of relate to those type of guys because that, it was funny. I'll tell you a good story. One time I'm riding with Chris Spielman and my good friend Ron Rubik, and we're talking about, we're doing something, and Spielman's talking about getting ready for camp. And he says, I'm going to be working on, my angles on option routes during camp this year. And I want to be able to read the screen passes a little bit better. And he goes to Rob, what are you going to work on in camp? And Rob was a walk-on from Grand Valley State. And Rob goes, I'm going to work on making the team is what I'm going to work on. And I throughout my career in the NFL, that was a job one every training camp. I mean, there was a lot of pressure. Preseason games were pressurized. I don't know, tryouts. I mean, if you felt that way, every practice I felt for 7, 8, 9 years that, bad practice could be the end of it. A bad game, a bad scrimmage. So there was pressure every day.
Go here, go there, go anywhere with 76.
How do you feel as a broadcaster now? Like, how do you go into every game? Where's your headspace there?
I guess what I try to do as a broadcaster is to do what I call when you do a puzzle, you get all the edges, and those are easy. And that's what I feel like I do all week. I do the edges of the puzzle, and then I separate the colors around, and then I get an idea of what I think might happen. But I try not to put the puzzle together until I get to the game. I trust myself enough that if I put the work together, I'm not going to predetermine what I think's going to, I see a lot of broadcasters. Sometimes I'll listen and I go, he's got all his storylines done and he's trying to make the game fit his storylines. He's almost forcing it. I can almost tell. Or, and it's just maybe a little coaching they need, just like Bill Walsh said that, Bill Walsh as a play caller always said, I do all my work all week so that I can react to the game confidently when it rolls out. And that's how I do as a broadcaster. You got to do your homework. You can't be successful without doing your homework. But it takes that little touch, of being able to see the game, play the game, have your own opinions of the game. I try not to listen to the team I'm doing announcer, because sometimes I'll hear a guy and I go, well, I said that exact same thing last week. I mean, this guy just repeated what I said. But that does get into your brain, without even realizing it. You'll hear something and then just repeat it when you're looking for something to say. So I don't know. I have no real formula how to do it. I've been really lucky with announcers and big games, and they kind of speak for themselves. But I just try to do my opinion. And I also, I taught school for 2 off seasons. I try to see the audience or see their faces, even though they're not there. Like when I watch a game and a big play happens, I was like, wait, what the hell happened? How did that guy get that wide open? And if the announcer doesn't tell me, I get frustrated. That's my team. I'm watching the Browns or the Lions or Purdue, and I go, come on, somebody was supposed to cover that guy. Who was it? And if they don't tell me, I get frustrated. So I try to bring that to it too. I try to say, what would the fans want to see right now? So I try to bring that in every play.
That's really fun insight. And I'm with you. Like I don't watch a lot of broadcasts.
Right. I don't want to listen to it. I don't want to listen.
But I'll study a few people. And for you, like I'll go listen to the end of a critical game, right? I've got Iowa this week. You had Iowa against Oregon last week. Right. What was the last 8 minutes like? How did Gary navigate the clock management and the play calling and the runs? And that's who I try to study. And you're clearly have always been one of those individuals. I'm curious for you and your partner, even in Brad, like when you guys start a show and we all like put so much emphasis on the open, you guys, it's like you're welcoming in me to like your home right now. And it's got that type of vibe. I'm curious, like, do you talk through that? Like, what vibe do you want?
Well, listen, I've been really lucky. I had all types of producers right from the beginning that are, ended up doing Monday Night Football. And I mean, I've been lucky, and obviously 3 Hall of Fame announcers. I started really quickly my first year with Ron Franklin, but then I right away went to Brad Nessler, a young guy on his way up, just like I was young. We put, I think, 8 years together at ESPN and ABC. Then I went with Brent for 7 years, Vern for 11 years, and now back with Brad. I mean, 3 Hall of Fame announcers. It's pretty easy to catch balls from Tom Brady, you know what I mean? Or throw passes, no offense, to Larry Fitzgerald. It's a little easier. And I feel like I've always had one of those guys next to me. But I don't know. To me, I CBS asked me a question, like, what do you do? And I say, I try to take something that looks very simple and show all the intricacies of it. Like, look at it. He stepped with his left foot, but his left foot means he got out of position. It's just that one little thing. Or his angle on his break, he slowed down. The quarterback was so something that looks very simple to the audience. I try to show the complexity of it. And then I try to do the opposite. Something that looks really complicated with 22 people moving, I want to say, this is just like playing basketball. The guy's open on the left. You don't have to go behind your back. Just set him the ball over there. So you just go simple to complex, complex to simple, and then look for the emotions. I mean, if you find a great player that's playing out of his mind, a center, a down lineman, a linebacker, a running back picking up blitzes. I remember I had a lot of fun last year doing a whole Ohio State game where Travion Henderson was picking up blitz after blitz after blitz. And I go, this is amazing to me. It must be amazing to the audience. So I just went with it, basically.
Okay, so speaking of amazing, like college football has been that, and it's also been mind-blowing, right? You called UCLA Penn State. You had Indiana winning on the road in Eugene. And then obviously this past weekend, I'm kind of curious when you put those three games together. I mean, there's so many different storylines in all three of those. But where do you net out when you're calling a game where there's a team that's going to suffer a challenging loss and then move on from their head coach the next week? I'm curious how you put that one into context. And then Indiana, Oregon, like here we sit with these two teams.
I know. So one of the unique things about it, and Brad and I were just laughing about it because he goes, once you leave, I can finally talk about this. I don't believe in momentum. So I never bring momentum to the game, so I just don't see an advantage of having, say you're on a run. I get it. People get hot, but to me as a play caller or as a team, it's almost a false sense that you have an advantage because you have the momentum. Or on the other side of the coin, they're doing well, and you go, oh, woe is me. They got all the momentum. Who cares? We have to make the next play. Nick kind of refers to it as the process. There's no scoreboard. I just felt there's no momentum. So when I watch these games, I always kind of nudge him like, who's got the momentum? Someone on the other side is going to make a play. And that's what I, through my playing career and as I observe games, who could have lined up anything more perfect than what Penn State did? The momentum of where they were headed for this season, the way they ended up, the way they brought everybody back, what they were trying to duplicate is what Ohio State did a year ago, what Michigan did 2 years ago, what Georgia did 5 years ago when they had they had a great team and they didn't make it to the championship. They all came back and it worked. It's not working. I've really never seen anything like it. And they broke. They basically broke, and they never recovered. And now we're going to do them. I'm really curious to just talk with a few players, but I just love the human emotion and the competitive instincts. I played on some bad teams. I played on Lions teams that we were out of it with 5 games to go, yet guys were getting shot up to play in games that meant nothing except that their teammates, they did not want to let them down. So I try to bring that humanity. And I know how hard I fought. The first time I played as a Lion, they put me in against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who had not won a game. I had not played in any meaningful snaps at all. And they put me in the second half, and we're down 7 or were we down 10? They go, get in there. We can't lose this game. We need a change up, and we won. So I just love the competitive instincts of players, how hard they play. I respect that, Oregon this week answered the physical bell. I could only imagine that Dan Lanning was looking at his players and saying that everybody thinks you're soft. Everybody's out there saying that IU out-physicaled you, okay? And you know what? Iowa thinks they're going to out-physical. Are they? Are they? And that's what that game meant to me. But there's always those storylines that you gotta find out through the game. And so I don't prejudge anybody. I love competitive people. I love pressure, playing under pressure, and I try to bring that to the people who watch it and really don't understand it.
I think something else that you bring, and I'd be curious how much of a conscious choice this is. We're in like the hottest take world of all time in sports, and you always come across as a thoughtful human. You reference humanity, one of my favorite words when it comes to sports and competitive environments. Is that a choice that you make every Saturday? Yes. Okay.
Yeah. I do not. I've never asked for any coach to be fired. Mostly from my wife, and even with my kids. There's a difference between critiquing, and then piling on and criticize. You can critique. People will allow you to critique, but you go too far by trying to prove how much you know with some cute line. You know what I mean? It hurt me. Writers when I played with the Lions or the Cleveland Browns that, they knew how hard I was banging it out there to play. And when I didn't play well, they thought up some cute line that I didn't, respect, basically, So I try to understand how much work a guy like you put in to get on the field. Oh, like Caden Weegan, he was ready for that game. We talked to him before the game. Here he is talking to me and Nestler and CBS. I mean, 5 years ago, he was begging for a tryout. And now he's in one of the biggest games on CBS, and he wants to prove that he can make the play to win the game, and he fumbles, and we zero in on him. I've been there. I threw interceptions for I played for my hometown team. I was the reason we lost. So I understand what people go through when things don't work out. And all you can do, what the proudest thing that besides my family and kids and how we raised them, I didn't play very many bad games. I didn't play maybe great, but I didn't play very many bad games. But in a playoff game against the 49ers, I had a bad game. It wasn't all my fault. They had a couple reads on us, a couple tip passes, and ended up being interceptions. And they had a very good game plan that we didn't realize until we actually put on the tape. Like 2 times I came back through an interception. I go, who intercepted it? I threw exactly who I wanted to, so they had a good read. But anyway, I took all the blame and everything. And, we had to fly all the way back from San Francisco to Detroit. And the guys were kind of, after about an hour or so, they started kidding me, about like, what the hell was that? And I was all right, I deserve it. But I was voted captain the very next year by those same guys.
There you go.
That's, to me, what I love about sports, stuff like that, human interest, humanity.
So why have you made the choice to walk away from something that you've thrived at for so long and you've been at the pinnacle for so long?
Yeah. So there was a transition. I'll be 100% honest. When we were transitioning from the SEC to the Big Ten, we had some discussions, CBS and myself, like, how much longer you don't want to do this? We're moving to a new league. You are very much connected to the SEC. We want you to, what do you want to do? And I said, I really want to go to the Big Ten. And I loved those. The SEC is very tough. They jump on their announcers, especially me. We had the number one game for 18 years, 12 national championships. We were doing, and that's when there were 2 or just 4 teams playing. So you knew it was the pinnacle, and our game every week was highly viewed. The opinion of the SEC fans, they jump on everybody, quarterbacks, offensive coordinators, coaches, everybody. Everybody has held to a high level. And when Twitter came around, I had a rough time, but I kept my pride. I never fought back. By the way, I don't tweet. I'll read it. I get it. I'll take it. It's not like I ignore it. I know what's going on. But I wanted to finish strong. We found out 2 years. We were going to be lame ducked for 2 years. We were having those discussions. And I said, I really want to finish back home. And they said, great, let's go year to year to year, and let's decide together. And we thought that doing the Big Ten championship last year, that might be it. But they said, let's do one more year and let's announce prior so you can have I said, I don't want a parade. I just want to do the games. But they go, let's do it together. You decide. Last year, I've got now grandsons playing high school ball. I never got to see my son play high school football. It's time. I've been doing it for a long time. It's time for somebody else to do it.
Well, you're going to be missed. I want to end with this. I mean it, because there's very few people that I think are synonymous with the game. There's so many games. Every game is broadcast. And you've been that. What? And you probably hate this question, knowing enough about you. But you have a legacy. I mean, you're a Hall of Famer too. What do you want to leave to the community that is? No one's going to fill your shoes, Gary, but we all know the integrity that has filled those shoes, and that's the standard. What do you want to say to the community, that the people, to be quite honest, like myself, who look at you and say, you know what? I hope somebody can talk about my career in a way that we talk about yours, because the way and everything you've done for the game.
That's a good question and very difficult to answer. I think one is that he always stood up and gave his opinion. Gary was always prepared. Okay. I think Gary understood that he wasn't always right. None of us can always be right. But it's not like he stood on the mountain and said, I'm not going to take anything back. I admit when I make mistakes, but that he never complained. Like this, they have the right to criticize me. I'm criticizing people. I never complained about it, but I was always motivated to give everybody my best game. Maybe it's that what you have, every practice was important to me. I never missed a practice in the NFL unless I had a cast on. Okay. And that's the truth. Okay. Never missed a meeting, never was late for a meeting. I've always prepared. I wanted my teammates to know that they could depend on me. That was very important to me. And in this last season at CBS, I said to Dave Burson and the management, as you watch every game, I want you to be able to think that he never took a game off. He finished the way he started, and I do it with a lot of pride. So I hope that comes through.
Well, I'll say this from someone who's observed you for a while. You're confident because of how you talk to yourself. And I love the story that you shared earlier. You have tremendous integrity. I just know that as a man because I've talked to too many people that know you. And I feel like your humility is what comes through in the broadcast. And I appreciate that. And on behalf of all of us that sit in the analyst chair, like that, I hope all of us can aspire to be a version of you, man. I really do.
Thanks. Keep competing. I miss it. I said, I don't know if you heard it at the end of the game. That actually went through my mind is, God, I miss playing. I don't really look in the mirror and see a broadcaster. Honestly, I still, I'm 74 years old. I still see a player, a guy. Anybody that's ever competed with teammates, that's not able to be duplicated.
Yeah, I agree. I've always felt the greatest thing is playing. And then it's coaching, and then it's broadcasting because you can celebrate the game and coach. I always say I could coach my mom watching the game, or whomever the viewer might be. But thank you for coaching all of us, and enjoy. I know you will. The last handful of games that you have, we'll be celebrating you, and I know we'll stay in touch and connected. But you've done a lot for my career without even knowing it, and then to be able to connect with you in the offseason and now is an absolute honor, man. So keep
killing it. Keep killing it. You're doing it the right way. It's a different world you're going than I did. I would probably be following your path, but if I had a podcast, I think I'd call it intentional grounding. So you can go with that one if you want.
There it is. Well, this was an intentional conversation. There it is, Gary Danielson. Thank you all for listening. Go to yoption.com for more. And as always, big love to our founding sponsor, 76, keeping you on the go so you never miss a beat. Thanks for watching. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. See you, Gary. Peace.
Thanks.